Rosa Parks, civil rights activist. Rosa Parks, often referred to as the mother of the civil rights movement, is a symbol of resistance against racial segregation and an enduring figure of courage. Her role in the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott ignited a wave of activism that reshaped the American civil rights landscape. While she is best known for her refusal to give up her seat to a white man on a segregated bus, her life and career encompassed far more than that singular act of defiance. Rosa Louise McCauley was born on February 4, 1913, in Tuskegee, Alabama, into a segregated and racially divided society. Her parents, James McCauley, a carpenter, and Leona Edwards, a teacher, separated when she was young. Rosa and her younger brother, Sylvester, were raised by their mother and maternal grandparents on a small farm in Pine Level, Alabama, just outside of Montgomery. Rosa's early experiences with racism deeply influenced her. She attended segregated schools in Montgomery and later Pine Level, where black students were given hand-me-down books and supplies from white schools, and education was cut short by the need to help with the farm work. Rosa's grandfather was a staunch advocate for self-defense, keeping a shotgun nearby in case of threats from the Ku Klux Klan, which frequently terrorized black communities in the South. These early experiences with racial inequality and violence left an indelible mark on her. Her formal education was interrupted at age 16, when she had to leave high school to care for her ailing grandmother and later her mother. Despite these setbacks, Parks went on to earn her high school diploma in 1933, at a time when less than 7% of African Americans had high school diplomas. This persistence in achieving her education despite the odds exemplified the determination that would define her later activism. In 1932, Rosa married Raymond Parks, a barber and active member of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP. Raymond was significantly involved in local civil rights efforts, particularly in supporting the defense of the Scottsboro Boys, a group of black teenagers falsely accused of raping two white women. Through Raymond, Rosa became more deeply involved in civil rights work, although her own active participation would come later. In 1943, Rosa Parks joined the NAACP herself, becoming one of the few women actively involved in the organization at the time. She was appointed secretary to the NAACP's Montgomery chapter, a position she held for many years. Working alongside E.D. Nixon, the local NAACP president and a key figure in early civil rights organizing, Parks investigated cases of racial injustice, particularly concerning voter registration, education, and sexual violence against black women. One notable case was that of Reese Taylor, a black woman who was brutally raped by 6 white men in Alabama in 1944. Parks played a key role in organizing national support for Taylor's case, though justice was ultimately denied. These efforts were part of a broader struggle for justice for black women, which would become a theme in Parks's activism. The Montgomery bus boycott. On December 1, 1955, Parks made history with a quiet act of defiance. After a long day of work as a seamstress at a local department store, Parks boarded a city bus in Montgomery. Following city segregation laws, black passengers were required to sit in the back of the bus, while white passengers occupied the front. If the white section filled up, black passengers were expected to give up their seats. When a white man boarded and the driver demanded Parks give up her seat, she refused, not because she was physically tired, as she later explained, but because she was tired of giving in. Parks's arrest for violating segregation laws sparked immediate outrage in Montgomery's black community. E.D. Nixon saw her arrest as an opportunity to challenge the city's segregationist policies, and within days, the Montgomery bus boycott was organized. With the help of community leaders and a young, charismatic preacher named Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the boycott galvanized thousands of black residents in Montgomery. The boycott lasted 381 days, during which time African Americans in Montgomery refused to use the city buses, opting to walk, carpool, or find other means of transportation. The boycott was a stunning success, placing economic pressure on the city's transit system and drawing national attention to the injustice of segregation. On November 13, 1956, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that segregation on public buses was unconstitutional, marking a significant legal victory for the civil rights movement. While Parks's arrest and the ensuing boycott made her a household name, her involvement came at a significant personal cost. She lost her job as a seamstress, and her husband Raymond was also forced to leave his job due to his association with her. The couple faced harassment and threats, which ultimately led them to relocate to Detroit, Michigan in 1957. After moving to Detroit, Parks continued her activism, though often out of the spotlight. She found work as a seamstress once again, but struggled to make ends meet for many years. However, in 1965, she secured a position as an administrative assistant to U.S. Congressman John Conyers, a role she held until her retirement in 1988. Conyers, a prominent civil rights advocate, credited Parks with helping to shape his views on social justice and policy, particularly in the areas of poverty, housing, and voting rights. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Parks remained active in civil rights causes, though she was often overshadowed by other figures in the movement. She participated in marches and protests against school segregation, housing discrimination, and police brutality. In 1967, she was present at the Detroit race riots, which erupted in response to systemic racial inequalities. Parks continued to speak out against racism and inequality, but she also began to focus on the specific issues facing black women. She was an active member of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, and she supported causes related to prison reform and the anti-apartheid movement. By the late 1970s, as the civil rights movement gained greater historical recognition, Rosa Parks's contributions were increasingly acknowledged. In 1979, she was awarded the Spingarn Medal by the NAACP, and in 1983, she was inducted into the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame. Parks continued to receive numerous honors in her later years, including the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1996, awarded by President Bill Clinton, and the Congressional Gold Medal in 1999, one of the highest civilian honors in the United States. In 1992, Parks published her autobiography, Rosa Parks, My Story, which provided her personal account of the events leading up to and following her pivotal role in the Montgomery bus boycott. In 1995, she published a second book, Quiet Strength, which focused on her faith and the moral convictions that guided her through the hardships of her life. Rosa Parks passed away on October 24, 2005, at the age of 92. Her death marked the end of an era, but her legacy lives on. Parks was the first woman to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol, a testament to her impact on American history. Her contributions to the civil rights movement continue to inspire new generations of activists who fight for racial justice, equality, and the end of discrimination. Rosa Parks's life was one of quiet strength and profound impact. While her refusal to give up her seat on a segregated bus is her most famous act of defiance, it was far from her only contribution to the struggle for civil rights. Parks' work as a NAACP activist, her involvement in cases of racial violence, and her commitment to addressing issues facing Black women reflect a lifetime of dedication to justice. Her legacy endures not only in the legal victories she helped secure, but also in the ongoing fight for equality she inspired.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Delving into the Deep for regular updates.